again, everyone. Scott Plyer, pop cult fan here, and finally, I am going to give my review for Avengers: Infinity War. And as I promised in the, the little description box down below in my previous video, I'm actually going to be doing a spoiler review. So, fair warning, if you haven't seen Avengers: Infinity War yet, this is going to be a spoiler review. Now, I might not talk about everything because even though there's so much to talk about, because this movie is insane. It really is. If I had to pick a movie that was a comic book superhero movie that was the most comic accurate, I would probably say Infinity War, because it literally does feel like a comic book come to life on the big screen. That's how the movie feels to me. And also, one thing that makes this movie very special to me is the villain Thanos, Josh Brolin. Oh my god. Like, at the beginning of the movie, he kicks Thor and Hulk's asses. And it definitely sets up a certain tone about the movie that I really do appreciate compared to most of the MCU movies and to most movies in general. I feel like this movie, it kind of takes a lot of inspiration from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back in a way, because that movie, it focused on the villains more so than the heroes, and I feel like that's what this movie does because of Thanos. And this movie is really telling Thanos' story and his ultimate goal to wipe out half of the universe like that. And so yeah, like, a lot happens in this movie. Way too much happens in this movie that is, there's a lot to talk about with this movie, because just at the beginning of the movie, the way it opens with Thanos just wrecking everyone. And one like a gag throughout the movie is Bruce Banner like wanting to Hulk out, but for some odd reason, because the Hulk gets beaten to hell by Thanos, he's like scared to come out throughout the rest of the film, and we barely have Hulk at all throughout the entire film, like only at the beginning of the movie. And that's like, I mean, this interesting. It's kind of like a running humorous gag throughout the film. It's funny, but at the same time, I want to see the Hulk. At the same time, I want to see the Hulk. Why is he not wanting to come out? He's afraid. It's so weird. And also, like, one thing about this movie that I do have a bit of criticism with is the way it's structured, because we have like different groups of the Avengers like teaming up in different, and it sort of creates like different side stories throughout the film, which just makes it feel a little disjointed. Just mainly because there are so many characters and they're all divided amongst different groups, and all these different groups have each of their own stories in the film, which kind of makes the movie feel a little just disjointed to me in terms of the way the story is structured. And also because of the tone of the movie, because this movie has a much more dour and darker theme to most MCU movies, but at the same time having that same MCU humor that the MCU is known for, which is why the tone shifts quite a bit, which I'm sure took the directors, the directors of the movie, Anthony and Joe Russo, I'm sure they had a lot of meetings about everything of how this movie is going to be made, and I'm sure there was a challenge to just put this movie together because of how massive it is. I believe this movie is one of the most expensive movies ever produced. I looked at the budget; it was high for this movie. Oh, and I can tell, like, especially from the costume design, all the characters, their costumes, and just the action set pieces, and just everything about this movie is just ginormous and grand in scale and all of that. And it's just, there's so much to this movie, especially when the Guardians of the Galaxy, like, one thing about Star-Lord in this movie is, you know, his reaction to Thanos when they're trying to pull off his arm, when they're trying to pull off the Infinity Gauntlet, and Star Lord reacts, and because, you know, he lost Gamora, and Thanos also lost Gamora, so there's also that bit of connection between them because Thanos is, you know, because Gamora is Thanos's stepdaughter, and, you know, because because Thanos sacrificed Gamora to achieve his ultimate goal, and even though he did that, he at the same time he was warning, you know, he really did love Gamora, and that's one of the reasons why Thanos is such a compelling villain, because he believes that what he's doing is the right thing, and that is why the character is so compelling in this movie, because you can see things from his perspective. You can see what he's doing is what he thinks is right, and even though it is not good at all, he thinks it's the right choice, and I find that very fascinating about Thanos. That's one of the things about villains in movies and TV shows in general that I personally am interested in, is that villains who believe in what they're doing is the right thing to do is what makes villains in movies and TV shows so compelling to me, and that's why Thanos is such an amazing villain. Why Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos is just amazing to me, and also just there's so much about this movie to talk about. My God. And also, like, another criticism I have about the movie is some of the new characters that are introduced and that are Thanos's lackeys, essentially. You know, the Black Order. I call them Thanos's lackeys, though, because I don't remember their names, and also because they're just Thanos's, you know, they're lackeys. That's what I call them. So yeah, like, that's my one other criticism about the movie, and also there's not too much else that I have about you know, negative criticisms, but just overall, this movie is an amazing movie. Just the emotional depth to the action scenes. There is definitely emotional weight to a lot of the things in this movie. This movie feels like a movie of desperation for Thanos and for the Avengers, and oh my God, like, also some of the pairings in this movie I also really like Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Spider-Man. That's really cool, and also some of the interactions between Star-Lord and Spider-Man are also really hilarious, and just, oh my goodness, just so much. And also the ending when Thanos literally does snap his finger and wipes out half the universe. He wipes out half of the Avengers, and oh my goodness, that scene, that ending. I mean, I know it's a sad ending, it really is, but I appreciate it because it's something that's not really common to do by killing off so many important characters. That's something that's you don't see often, and that's why I appreciate it, more so than, like, because I have some friends who saw the movie and they were disappointed with the ending, they were upset with the ending, and I understand that, but I appreciate it because it was Thanos' ultimate goal to wipe out half the universe. He thought it was the right thing to do, and that is why I appreciate the ending more so than some of my friends. But yeah. And I know it's a sad ending, it really is. And when I saw, the one that got me the most was Tom Holland as Spider-Man when he was, oh my goodness, when he was disappearing and he was, oh my God, that's why Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. Just the way, oh my God, there's so much, so much. Yeah, like, the Spider-Man, the reason why Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man is because of how much he really does seem like a nerd, but at the same time paying so much respect to the character from the comics, and it's just amazing. And his performance really does shine through, and even for every single actor in this movie, just Chris Evans as Captain America and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, just everyone, just the acting amazing all across the board. Just no complaints to anyone except for maybe the Black Order characters. And one thing about this movie is that there are a few cameos in this movie, like Peter Dinklage, who you guys may know as Tyrion from Game of Thrones or from Days of Future Past. You know, he's been in a lot of movies. I've seen Peter Dinklage in a lot of movies, and one thing about this movie is that apparently dwarfs in Thor's universe are huge. They're huge. Dwarfs in the space are apparently huge, and that was Peter Dinklage's character. It was interesting, and the way that whole scene played out of how Thor was trying to create this new weapon, this hammer. I forget what it was called, but yeah, it was like the Peter Dinklage's character was kind of his role in the movie, was helping Thor create this new weapon that could help Thor control his powers a little bit better. And I thought that was interesting. Just, oh my goodness. And just so much happens in this movie, and just also like the ending. I thought Thor had the most intriguing story throughout the entire film, because he lost so much between losing his father Odin in Ragnarok and then also losing Loki at the beginning of this movie. Just, he went through so much, and some of the interactions he had with the Guardians were also just on point. And it's amazing, and I love it, and it's great. The Infinity War is definitely one of my personal favorite MCU movies now, and yeah, that is my review for Avengers Infinity War. This is probably going to be one of my longest reviews, because there's just so much to talk about with this movie, and I don't want to go too long talking about this movie, but just so much. But I think I am gonna end it here though, because I don't want this video to go on for too much longer. It's already at 12 minutes, so yeah, that's my spoiler-filled review for Avengers Infinity War. I know I didn't talk about everything, but I don't want this video to go too long, so yeah, that is my review for Avengers Infinity War, and yeah, I will give this movie an A. That's why I love this movie so much, but there are a few issues that I do have with the movie, just the way the plot is structured, and the new characters. There are Thanos' lackeys, you know, the Black Order. Just, those are my only criticisms, but I still give this movie an A because of what this movie is, how different it is compared to most other MCU movies and to other superhero movies in general, because this feels like an actual comic book come to life. Even though I don't read comics that often, it's amazing, and I love that. So that is my review for Infinity War. So next time, I will review Deadpool 2 with a surprise guest star, Sean Voss, aka Cash Voss, tomorrow, and I will see you guys then. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.